The type of attention you get and who you get it from determines where we end up in life.
We are we got.
Jesus has already been accepted at the University of Texas in Austin, electrical
In a
engineering.
community where the statistics aren't the best, the default isn't the best either.
The gentleman who's going to be on the field representing South San,
Defensive captain of the varsity football team.
Mr. Jesus Rendon.
His life to giving back to this community.
St. Joseph's Catholic Church Choir.
So I decided to start a nonprofit called Building a Purpose.
And if we can raise that default to be something of higher standards,
Help students find their purpose in life.
I think we can do something
We all we need.
special by default.
Welcome to the Jesus Rendon podcast, where we talk about life, purpose, and God. Today, we are recording out of the Rec Podcast Studio, and our next guest here is Miss Marlene Arroyo, who is a South San Antonio graduate, a Bay Area tech executive, and the CEO of People Craft. Thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you for having me, Jesus.
All right. So, yeah, I always start off these podcasts on how or what was your first recollection of how we first met?
The first time that we met, I'd actually heard of you before actually meeting you. Luis Arroyo is my brother, and he was a good friend of yours, and he always talked about several of his closest friends that were really smart and driven and just good people, and you were one of those. So I had heard of your name in that way. And then through life journey, I also learned that you married my cousin Judith Munoz, and have been following you since then on socials, and really intrigued with everything you've been doing, and excited to be here today. I'm so happy we were able to reconnect.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that. And on my end, the first time I remember seeing you and hearing you speak was at Upward Bound CIS's guest speaker. They would bring in like these famous, successful people to come back, and especially when I heard that you were from South San, I was like, oh, this one's from South San, and she's gonna come share that. Oh wow, she went through this whole program, and then later I was like, yeah, her last name's Arroyo. And I was like, oh, Louis, that's your sister.
Yeah.
So the irony, and you were well-spoken, very motivating, very inspirational to us at that, formational time. It was 2006 probably. And it was really cool to hear about you then. And then obviously Judith, Lewis, and I all went to UT.
Yes.
And hearing you were planning to go to Boston, and then after we all graduated, you ended up going to the Bay Area, and doing well for yourself. So I think all the world of you and in the family too. Both you and Judith are very successful and have driven through a path that not a lot of people had even thought existed in our family, right?
Yeah.
So.
Very blessed. Thank you.
Yes, but what do you think was the most important part to help you to get out of the house and go on, continue your education?
Yeah, for me, in my household, I was the first in my family to leave my house and the state of. Well, I would say the city, because I stayed within Texas, to go to college, and so that to me was. Scary and exciting, but more exciting than scary at that time. And my motivation was my mother, and hearing about my parents' journey through the 70s of immigrating from Mexico to the U.S., Chicago in specific, and just like imagining what that literal journey was very inspirational to me. And it gave me this sort of sense of purpose of why I was here, and if they did this hard physical experience, then I can do this other hard mental experience by going to college and figuring it out, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think as I look back, it's truly hearing about my parents' story. I was always very curious to hear what it was. I would ask probing questions, and it was through that they were able to open up and share these specific moments that whenever inevitably life is hard, or the school is hard, mm-hmm. And I would have a difficult time, I would reflect on those moments that they must have felt, and it gave me just a lot of fire to keep going.
What was your formational years like Where were you born?
I was born in Chicago, South Side Chicago, and I was there until I was about 4 years old. I'm the fourth kid in a family of 6 kids, and I was the last one to be born in Chicago. So I was the youngest, and in Chicago, it was my first introduction to schooling. I was enrolled in a Head Start program. And my formative year, and it was very meaningful because in that program, I loved school. And I think I loved the joy of learning, and I loved, being right or just having this sense of accomplishment of what you were doing. And I became the class translator. And so through that, I was helping children that, Spanish was my first language and others as well, but I was catching on to English pretty quickly, and I became somehow the translator. And at the end of the program, I was awarded this what seemed very large trophy that I still have. It says Tabor.
You need to send me a picture of
I
it.
do.
I'm going to put it in here.
Yeah, and it gave me the sense of accomplishment. I remember seeing my mother's face of joy in the crowd, and I felt like I won this. It might as well have been my Super Bowl trophy because it meant a lot to me. Mm-hmm. And to this day, school, I guess at that time felt hard. And then it was a sense of recognition, maybe validation even. And it just helped me continue to love school. Then after that experience, my parents moved to Mexico. I'm not entirely sure the motives besides maybe wanting to go back to closer to be with their family. Mm-hmm. Chicago is a very hard city to work in and live in. It's very cold. My dad worked in the meat packing factory, and so it was extreme weathers, and I bet it took a toll on his body. So they moved back to Mexico, and I was enrolled in the elementary school there. My mom, I bet, thought very highly of me that she just threw me in the elementary school as a first grader. So she hopped me from Head Start all the way to first grade. It was a wrong choice. It was not a good process or experience, a lot of tears. And so ultimately she enrolled me in the kindergarten program. And so to close this out, my formative years for me in schooling is in the kinder program, I now experience some trauma of school was hard because I was in the wrong place. And I used my then very charming skills to influence a teacher's assistant one day to take me out of school, walk me about 10 to 15 blocks to go give my mom a hug and a kiss because I missed her so much. That story is meaningful to me because one, she shouldn't have done that. Like, who takes out a kid who isn't yours from school to go say hello to their parents? But she did. And it gave me a sense of accomplishment. I felt kind of like I was really good at sales. And yes, I did schooling in Mexico for some years, and then eventually my parents moved to Texas, where my younger sister and brother were born, and we settled in San Antonio.
Your 2 younger siblings, they born in San Antonio?
That's right.
And then where did you go back to school when you came back to San Antonio?
I was enrolled in Price Elementary. Go Rattlers. Oh, wait. Price. Yes.
Yeah, Cobras.
Yeah, Cobras. And I was enrolled there so I did elementary there. And what I recall from Price was really 3rd grade and above. I had a few interesting teachers, Mr. Nevares, who I'm still very good friends with, his daughter, Melida, and Miss Spelling, Mr. Rodriguez. Like, I somehow remember everyone's name. And it was a good experience. That's where at Price, I honed in on my English skills, because going back and forth between English and Spanish of 2 countries was confusing as a kid, I believe. And for me, Price was very meaningful in the sense that I had good teachers. I think I was always very good at just convincing the teachers to do more for me. And so a lot of them would tutor me after school. Mr. Rodriguez certainly did, Mr. Nevares as well. And they helped me just becoming good at knowing how to be a student and do well in school.
Awesome. And Dwight and South End, that's where you went after?
Yes. So then I went to middle school in Dwight, and that's where I joined band. So that was very meaningful for me as well. And then wrapped up sort of that part of my life at South San, and graduated from South San in 2002. Dating myself.
Yeah, 2002. So they had just made the mural.
Is that when you were born?
No, not quite.
I'm just kidding.
But the mural in the auditorium, did you remember all that
Yes.
drama and that came from it?
I don't remember the drama. I actually try to stay away from drama in general, but I do remember the end result, and it was beautiful.
Yeah. It's still there, I think.
I haven't been back, but glad to hear that it's still there.
And the auditorium, I mean, it was fairly new, I think, at that time as well.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. So what after you graduated from South San, what was one of your memorable moments
Of South San?
of South San?
Band was a big deal in my life. Still is. I played clarinet, and I still do with the Heart of Texas in San Antonio.
Is that like a nonprofit in town or something?
It's a nonprofit, and we play concerts every month. It almost feels like,
Really?
and there's two very dedicated. It's a couple. It's Mark and Sudi Rogers, and they're very dedicated in the program, and have a very rigorous brochure and program that happens throughout the year. And I've been very fortunate to be a part of a few of those. So it's very meaningful. My band director was Mr. Stevens, Bob Stevens. I'm connected with him on social. So it's kind of nice to, now as an adult, a lot of these teachers for me were very hierarchical sort of leaders, somebody you look up to. And now as you get a little bit older, you become friends, and it's kind of very, very nice. So a memorable moment for me is band. The other is, I actually won Homecoming Queen. I don't think I
What?
I did. I won Homecoming Queen and Prom Queen the same year as a senior. And it's memorable, not in the sense of I won and this was my life dream. It wasn't. It felt very surreal because, I didn't consider myself being popular. I wasn't in sports. I was just friendly and excited to be there, and certainly befriended quite a bit of folks and went in and out of different groups. As you probably remember, that's sometimes how high school is very group focused. And it memorable because I was able somehow to convince people to vote for me. I didn't try, and it just happened organically, and it was really nice.
That's awesome.
That band people could win that.
Hey, you represented.
Yes, I did.
And the band showed up.
Oh, they always show up.
Man, the band was it really big back then?
Yes. I think we were probably 150,
Okay.
125, around there.
Yeah, I remember all I ever hear is stories about how huge the band was back in the day. But that might be just somebody peeking in high school saying how awesome the band was.
Possibly.
But no, that's cool. So, what are some of your strengths? What are some of your things that you attribute, for you being, you talked about being able to convince, sounds like convincing your teacher to take you to say hi to your mom, and convincing the school to vote for you.
It's fun. These questions are always funny because you want to be humble and authentic,
Right.
but then it's like, this is what I'm really good at.
I wasn't prepared. I'm not bragging.
Oh, my strengths are being humble, right? Let's see. So I guess like my gifts, maybe strengths, gifts. I would say I'm a dreamer. And so what that means for me is I could see into the future what I want. And that creates a path or an exciting path that I want to be on. And that's been it just has guided me along the way to kind of know where I'm going. And the quickest way to get to where you want is know what you want. So I would say that would be one. Let's call it visionary instead of dreamer. Visionary. The other would be I'm personable. I would consider myself personable. I really enjoy one-on-ones and meeting people and helping people be seen. That's kind of one of the things that I love doing, and as a result, I am able to have strong networks and stay connected with folks because I care about
Right.
people's stories, kind of like what you're doing. Yeah, and then the third, grit. Grit is one. In order to do hard things in life, you have to have resilience in order to get there, and I would say I'm definitely very gritty. Yeah.
Nice. How about weakness?
Oh, I don't have any. Sass is probably another good strength. Weakness. I care a lot about people, and so when I was younger, I'm overcoming this now. Is I cared a lot about what people thought, and usually that's not a good measure of success because your thoughts become your actions, and if you're stuck in this thinking mode, you don't act. So that's something that I've certainly worked on. And another weakness would be, the flip side of strength is also I'm a visionary and a dreamer, and so I have a lot of exciting possibilities, and sometimes that slows me down because I want to do it all.
The plate gets full fast.
Yeah, right, exactly. And I always feel like I'm not doing enough. But then when people ask what I did, I will rattle off 100 things that I did that day, and so I am doing a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear a reoccurring thing, and maybe you've only said it once in this podcast, but in the multiple times we've talked is when you think about something, you bring it to life, right? There was a book I read that coincidentally your cousin gave me called The Graduate, and
not the movie.
Yeah, actually, coincidentally, she's older than me too. No, but she, not the movie. It was a religious book that talked about used some scripture stuff, and then it also pulled things about as you graduate high school. But that was like the first book I wanted and set time aside to read thoroughly and highlight and write and like in its entirety. And the quote that changed my life for me, I haven't even shared this on any of the podcasts, is that the secret to success is merely the matter of thinking thoughts of success. And that quote for me is spiritual, is motivational, it's practical too. When you break it down, it's just, man, if you can put those thoughts in there, and then you keep training yourself, you're brainwashing yourself. You're just like, and you're manifesting it. And for me, that was huge in creating vision. And me and Judith are pretty up. Most will say I've always been visionary, very similar to you. And Judith is very much so. You plan on jumping off the cliff? Show me the road. Show me
practical.
Yeah. But the irony that it was her who gave that to me, and that quote came to be such an important part of my life. Are there any quotes you live by?
Just get it done, I would say.
Just get it done.
Just get it done. And there's a lot. Let me unpack that. For me, that means there's a few others, like done is better than perfect. That's probably very high up there for me. Take the first step. And what that has meant for me in my life is, I'm not a perfectionist where I would consider myself analytical, but done is better than perfect gets me moving. And if I think about the big picture, it becomes very overwhelming to want to figure out how to get it done, right? Think about a project or a big move or a financial decision or an investment decision as well. And so I think it's breaking up the problem into chunks is very big for me. And those quotes come. And so I always, when I do get overwhelmed with my visionary and aspirational mindset and personality, I stop and breathe and reflect and pray and all the things to then figure out what the first step should be in order to move in the direction I want to. Yeah.
Well said. Just get it done. I like that. It's very practical, and it breaks things down.
Yeah. And I've learned of this. It's good and bad, right? Like I feel, well, I wouldn't say bad, but everyone has their own gifts, and those gifts serve their life very well up until they don't, right? I think there's another book called "What Got You There Won't What Got You Here Won't Get You There," and I think our journey, in my opinion, the journey in the human experience is knowing how to ebb and flow through a changing environment and a changing world. Like it's the world, in my opinion, is all energy, and energy is motion, whether it's your thoughts or your actions or your inactions. And I've realized this is who I am because I married a very analytical person. He's an engineer, which I'm sure we'll talk about later. And in order for my husband to make a decision and take the first step, he needs to have all the information on the data. And sometimes like we clash in that, but it's also very complementary. Like the good thing is he would have known those steps that I may have missed because I'm ready to move, and he will know most of those steps before, so that I can make a very good informed decision. Both attributes are strong, and even stronger together. And they both have weaknesses on their own, but again, I think stronger together, it works.
Makes for a good marriage.
It does.
So, I think we stopped at high school, but what were your job coming out of high school, going to college? What was your career trajectory, higher education experience like?
So my story is my first job. Actually, I grew up first gen, and so my dad had a lot of entrepreneurial effort in his life, truly just trying to make things work. So my first job was helping him sell. I sold a lot of things. He would sell.
He kept his business going.
Yeah, like at soccer games, soccer matches, he would sell cold beverages, non-alcoholic, and so I would help him sell that. I was like manning the booth, certainly taking payments and the whole thing.
In Chicago, and
here in San Antonio,
at the missions, or just
all around, probably the
games.
South Side. And Normal Park comes to mind. The missions. I'm sure there's many other parks I can think of, and I helped him with that. He also was a photographer, so my brother Frank and I would help sell the photos for him. My brother Frank launched a paleta business, so I would help him as well. So he did.
That's so
that
cool.
was in Mexico, which happy to share. But there's a photo of us together, like manning this cart, and it's really nice, right? Like as an adult, you look back and it's those moments in your life that you have connection with someone, and
absolutely,
yeah, he's a sales guy, and it's funny that there's a photo to capture the moment. And so that was my first job. But my first official job, W-2 with a paycheck, was at Chick-fil-A at South Park Mall.
Oh man, that place was popping. That was the spot. This is before any Chick-fil-A's were around.
That's right. We had no restroom to clean, which was nice. And I reported into the operator. His name is Bruce Ploster, and it was my first gig. Again, I think he tells me to this day he was not interested in hiring any high schoolers because they were, in his mind, not reliable and too distracted with school and all that. Well, I had convinced him that he needed to hire me. I may have choked up in my pitch, and he was like, what the heck, let me hire her. And he did, and I know it's the best decision of his life. We're still good friends, and I helped him open his purview to then hire nothing but South San. You
opened the gates. Give us some.
I did, and we had a really good time. Worked with some of my closest friends, Stephanie, and Chick-fil-A was a place. It still is. Their brand is amazing.
So you were one of the original people to say, my pleasure.
I was 2000. I guess at that point, it might have been like 99, 2000. I was 16. Whenever you're legally able to, as soon as I turned 16, like the next day I was ready to work. So that was my first gig.
You started young. Yeah.
I started young, and every summer from school, from college, I would come and work the summers with them, mainly because I enjoyed the people, and extra cash was always welcomed as a college student. But Chick-fil-A is a very, very meaningful place for me.
Where did you go to college?
I went to Texas Women's University in Denton, right outside of Dallas, a few hours north. It was 85% women and, the few percentage, 15% men, believe it or not. And the reason I chose that school is I thought I wanted to go into physical therapy. That was my declared major. It's a great physical therapy school and nursing school. And as soon as I took my first chemistry test, I decided this was not for me. I was not well prepared in the sciences at all. I was not as smart as you to go into Upward Bound. In fact, I don't think Upward Bound was even a thing when I was there. And anyway, I switched over majors into business. So I did undergrad at Texas Women's and then grad school at Simmons University in Boston.
Okay, awesome. And then what took you to West Coast?
So my story from Boston is I did 2 years there, completed an MBA program, moved to Austin actually to work at Dell. And at
Were
Dell,
we there at the same time? What year was that?
I think so. I was there from 2012 to 2014, 15,
okay,
around there.
Yeah, we would have been there at the same time.
You may have been roommates with my brother. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we were roommates at Upward Bound in Our Lady of the Lake in 2006.
Okay.
But then when we got to UT, when we lived in the apartment. When we lived on campus, we were like in the same wing.
Oh, nice.
Actually,
I helped him set up his dorm, like put his shoes away. I was
that's so
became
cool.
very motherly. I was so proud of him.
That's awesome. So you were working there at Dell while we were there. And
So then when I started working at Dell, Luis actually lived off campus off of Riverside, my brother. And so I had a dog. His name was Maddox, and he would often dog sit for me when I traveled. And so I was wondering if you were his roommate because I left my dog there many times. Yeah. And I heard he ate some books and did some dog naughty things. But yeah, I was in Austin for a few years. I worked at Dell in their corporate finance team. And it was a good experience for sure. But I got the startup bug. Dell, well-established, great brand, good structures, but people had been there for a long time, and I was looking for just fast, moving organizations, and so I decided to move to the Bay Area and join the startup scene shortly after that, and was there for about a decade in the Bay Area, and worked in startups in the SaaS business, and then in mobile marketing or the app industry, basically.
Walk me through your career path.
So my career I started off in lending, mortgage lending. I majored in finance. And so back when I was in college, the shiny job to go do was being a Wall Street broker in New York City. And so I started building my career in finance, worked in corporate finance, and then ultimately realized this is not as exciting as I thought. My personality didn't quite fit that, and also my attention to detail was not as solid to crunching numbers and building large sort of macros to support a large finance engine. And so through that experience, I came across this leadership program. It's a rotational program that some of the large corporations have, and it was a blessing for me because I was able to rotate into a lot of the functions in business. So finance, of course, accounting, human resources, management as a whole, marketing, a large gamut. And through that rotational experience, I did a stint in human resources and realized that I loved the discipline of human resources. I didn't know much about it before working in it. And it's so multifaceted where to me, it's like the center of a business, right? Like your people are what makes or breaks your product, your customer experience, your peer experience of other employees. If somebody leaves your company, they take a lot of knowledge out of your company. That's expensive. The workforce planning behind it, it's so complex, and I loved it. And so I made an intentional pivot into human resources, where I basically have grown my career. I started off as an HR generalist, so doing a lot of sort of across the board payroll management, a lot of pieces of HR, and then realized that I really enjoyed compensation, I was in finance, so then compensation is a big one that I love, and overall just leadership development, and executive coaching. And so I've grown up in human resources. That's what I did in the startup world out of the Bay Area, and have really learned that HR is the heart of any business. And I will challenge anyone on that if they think that that's not the case.
Nice. Well said. What was it like, going through the ranks as a Latina woman, young woman, trying to make your way?
It was hard. It was not easy. It was an experiment. I took all those careers and paths as an experiment. That that's the blessing of not having any pressure at home or being the first to do something. No one was telling me what I needed to do or if it met the bar that they had, like my parents. They were just like, whatever you want to do. It was a blue ocean strategy. And then so I did that. I just kind of, through a lot of heartache and challenges along the way, I just kind of dove into it. It was not easy, where I was having to find the answers on my own. But it was also fun, where once I learned the corporate game, and I say it's a game because I think everything's a game, where if you just know what it takes to do well, and you do that well, you get recognized usually, especially in corporate. I mean, there's specific formulas that say if you do X and Y, you get C, which is a promotion. So I just learned what that was, and I learned to reflect on my own gut sense. Anytime, of course, I come across experiences that were not good, and I just made a change. I was never afraid to change employers, move. I'm as I mentioned, I moved around a lot, and so I just did it. I don't know. I just did it.
Was there a change or a jump in your career that you saw as the most?
Yeah, I would say, there's actually an article written about me on Forbes.
I've seen it.
And it was along those lines where moving from finance, once I realized I am not the finance person, as much as I wanted to be, because I thought finance people have a lot of money, and I wanted that money growing up without it. And once I realized, like, if you just follow your archetype, I am not a finance person. I enjoy it, and I still invest, and I enjoy the discipline, but do what you are good at. And I realize I'm really good with people. The concept of people, like HR is not just about people. There's a lot of infrastructure you build. And when I made that shift over to human resources, I was lighter. I was excited. I wanted to learn everything I could about it. And if you have that hunger, it makes the process so much easier to follow. I never felt like I just needed a job. I've been so blessed, and I feel proud to say that I've never just slogged it through to get some because I felt like I needed to. I don't know where that comes from, to be honest, but for me, it's always about passion, and I fell fast to succeed sooner, where if something isn't jiving, then I make that decision, and I feel good about that. I feel proud of that. So for me, it was realizing who I was as a person. So human resources is my jam, and focusing on that. And then I'll pause there, and I'll also say the second most, I guess, influential time in my career was when I was given the opportunity. So in the Bay Area, the average tenure of an employee is 18 months. That's really short, right? Because there's so many jobs, so many employers, that there's always poaching. And so with that in mind, my tenure was much longer in companies, but I was poached by a company to come and lead the human resources department as the head of. And that opportunity, I joined the company. They were out of Palo Alto, 50 people when I started. and eventually grew it to over 800. We exited the company to a private equity firm, and I was a leader through all of it. So I was the executive at the organization. I built the team from one person to 40, over 42 people in 9 different countries, and it was such a cool experience because if I would have said no, I'm too comfortable in this job. My commute was an hour each way. If I didn't want to commute, on the train, I would have passed it up, and it would have been the worst decision of my life. And that was a very pivotal moment, decision, experience where I got to work with smart people. I realized I'm just as smart, if not smarter. I belong, and the company was very successful. We exited. It was really good news for all of us. And I would do it again. Any day. I wish I could find a company like that. It was named Liftoff, and we were in the mobile app marketing space. Yeah.
Wow, no, that's awesome. You had to be a part of something like that special.
It was.
And I'm sure it took the right person to be a special person to be able to grow it that way as well. So
I appreciate that. And it was such a cool experience where this is what gets me excited about human resources is. Human resources is not a back office. Like if it's back office, I need to do compliance or, the police in the building. If that's the HR you're running, I want nothing to be a part of it. It's important. Risk management is important. Having all the right policies to protect an organization is important. Training your people is all important. But HR is more than that. It's fun. Working should be fun. I think that the best companies that succeed are the ones that have that are employee-centric and have fun experiences. Like one thing we did here at Liftoff is we had a company talent show, and I was a part of that talent show. And I have no talent. I played my clarinet.
I knew it.
We organized a team. One of the engineers curated the piece. Like it was very specific to what we were doing. They wrote the piece, and we all played, and we won second place, but we still won. But it was, man, I felt like a kid again. And that's the mission I'm on, is when I advise founders and CEOs of their organization, as insignificant as it might be, the environment you create makes or breaks somebody's livelihood. And I think once we take that very serious, where your employees are a focal point, every person that walks through your door, you're changing their lives, good or bad. And I think it is a responsibility as a leader, as a corporation, as a small business, to try to do your best for your employees. Sometimes you get prickly employees, and that's part of running a business. But I think it's making it fun. That's what I love about being a leader and being able to make that decision and create those experiences for people. And that's why I've had so much fun in high growth organizations, right? That were scaling fast, and certainly very sweet spot in my life. But at the end of the day, you're right. Everyone is happy when there's points on the board. But the moment that you start declining, and hard decisions have to be made, and this function is usually the one having to be at the forefront of the message, not the decision, the message of, hey, we have to lay off 10% of our people, right? As an example, or whatever it might be. It's the messenger, and we get entangled in this this perception. And I don't blame either party, right? If I'm the person receiving the news, there is hurt. You feel hurt. That you're getting let go. You've been there for 20 years. You were the top performer, but you made the back comment, and now you're wondering if that's why. Whatever it might be. And I think that's the not so good part about being in human resources.
It's heavy.
It's
heavy on the heart.
Yeah. But for me, one is I try not to take it personal. Being able to understand where the other opinion is coming through. At the end of the day, Wemby just said this the other day. He was getting interviewed, and they were asking him about a play he had, and he said, "Hey, look, at the end of the day, I'm an employee, And it's my job to listen to the play that we're being told to execute. And if we execute well, we do well. And for a moment, I felt like Wemby, like, he's right. At the end of the day, most of us are just employees, whether you're an employee for your board, if you're the CEO, or you're an employee of a large corporation. You have duties, and for HR, some of those duties are not popular duties, but it can be very rewarding. And I think if individuals like what you just said, and you articulate it so well, where it is heavy on the heart, and many times it's not their call, but they are having to message it. I think every job has that, right? If you're a manager of any function, you have to make hard calls sometimes, and you may not be the most popular person on your team, and you can lose respect or trust, but it's our job to rebuild it and keep going. I think that's what life is all about, regardless of what industry or function you choose.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
I may have derailed, but
no, you're so you're spot on. I mean, how you deliver the message, and even if it's not an easy message to deliver, I like how you said, HR is delivering it, because y'all aren't the ones who are making it, right?
No.
It's like we can't. We'll go bankrupt if we keep everybody. That's
exactly.
Right. And it's like, okay, lose all the ship, there.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
You said something, we'll go bankrupt if we don't make change. And it's a big topic right now with AI. I will say, first off, the technology is beyond, right? It moves so fast. It's moving so fast. The power of it is incredible. The world will be different. And this is what I meant when my kids, your kids are going to live in a very different world that we did. The best that we can do, instead of resisting that, is learn it. We got to learn it. It's coming. And so for organizations, it's a big friction point right now where they're having to make hard calls because AI is so powerful. And if they don't make these hard calls, they won't exist. That's just a reality. And if they're having to lay off 20% of their staff, is that the better choice than 100% of the staff? Possibly, right? They're investors and stakeholders. There's a lot. It's so much more complicated than just that one decision. Not to say that the people being affected, it negates their experience. It's a real experience. But instead of getting so wound up and making you halt in your life, if you are affected, I would say use it as an opportunity to reinvent yourself. What else can you be in? Is it another industry? Is it in another function? Can you learn the tool yourself? AI is kind of fun vibe coding if you haven't vibe coded before. I believe it's leveling out the playing field where everyone who may not have access to the best colleges, Ivy Leaguers or networks, can use AI to build something from scratch right now. And it's truly a remarkable time to be alive. But companies are having to make hard calls, and everyone is learning on the job to know what to do. Right.
Yeah, we've incorporated iRed team to put together some AI stuff, and you've got to be at the forefront of it and learn how to lean into it and use it as a tool that it is.
Yeah. One thing that I experienced not so long ago is there's this topic named workforce planning. If you haven't heard, it's a discipline within HR where every year, for planning purposes, similar to finance, you kind of forecast what your headcount additions would be, what costs are associated with that, your strategy, where am I going to go and find these people to come and help me augment our business? And so workforce planning is a big topic. Now, where the world will go, especially the organizations that are at the forefront, is workforce planning with digital employees. So what does that mean? That's a full-on bot doing a full-on individual's job. And don't be scared of, I would say that could really scare somebody. Like, oh my gosh, you see it on all the social media apps. Like, they're coming to get more jobs. Or you can learn it. Learn how to navigate. Maybe you could be the manager of the bots. it's a really cool tool. But that is something that in the HR world we're having to work with, where we're designing organizations with people and digital employees. That is where we're going.
Yeah, it's a good glimpse at the next couple of years. It seems like that might or might be here in some capacity. Wow, what's the best thing you learned while being in the role you were in? What's the best thing you've learned while being a HR executive?
I learned to listen to your gut. Like, your gut is your compass to make hard decisions. Make decisions fast. If something seems off, don't sit on it. I tell this to all the leaders, right, that are having challenges whenever they take on a new role or they're being onboarded into the company. And then personally, the best thing I've learned, right, is, man, there's more power in you than you even think. And I belong in those rooms. So before having the title, having the compensation that you certainly get, the sitting on panels, like all the external validation, right? That sometimes that I certainly had as a kid, where you're trying to be somebody. If I remove all that and I just reflect now, my younger self would have been so proud of achieving all these things. And at the end of the day, I am still just me. So the thing I learned is, don't get in your own way, right? Like, our thoughts create our reality. And I'll say that again, your thoughts create your reality. And if you allow your thoughts to hold you back because you're not smart enough, you don't belong, you're a different color, you don't sound like them, they don't know you were on food stamps. Like, if you allow those thoughts to dictate your life, you won't do anything. It's paralyzing. And I learned that if I just allowed these like insecurities to come through, I wasn't effective. I wasn't able to deliver the discourse that I needed to, or present to the board in an effective way. And I learned that at the end of the day, you just got to do something, you and do it to the best of your ability, and be confident in that. Ask for help when you need it. Be vulnerable when it makes sense to your, leaders or peers around you. I think having somebody in your corner or multiple people in your corner is really helpful, because it gets lonely and scary when you're treading new waters. And I learned just to go, like, stop overthinking it, just go. What's the worst that can happen? And the worst that could happen, like, you can get fired. And so what? You go find a new job. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
And I learned to just try and do it, and certainly was very successful at it.
Yeah. It's so scary, because I think when you think of getting fired, like, and when I think about it in my dad's sense, I'm like, man, thinking about him getting fired, or my mom, or if their jobs, I'm like, the fear that they have from maybe not getting fired, but having to go look somewhere else.
Yeah.
I think that's paralyzing as well. And what causes so many people to not want to take that risk.
Yeah.
But it's crazy how it's again, if you're not scared to get fired, it's almost like you're the bad kid in the class, not scared to test the line. But again, you're not trying to get fired either, right?
Yeah.
But you're trying something new to grow and grow into a role that maybe, for whatever reason, maybe the market's dry in that area and you need to figure this out, or maybe the situation calls for it right away. It's so, that trait of being the envelope pusher, pushing the edge of uncomfortable change. Maybe a kid who's a little bit of the class clown, sees how much, but then he wins. He's the people's champion for the kids. He's like, hey, he said what I was thinking, and if not, it would have been the same old, another Pink Floyd song, "Brick in the Wall," right? Another brick in the wall. So Yeah, no, that's well said. I always had slight interest to go to the Bay Area to work.
Okay, yeah.
Everybody was like, "Yeah, go get a software gig over there," and yeah, they
great.
pay well, and
Yep.
and then
A lot of opportunity.
a lot of opportunity.
You often hear, "Oh, the Bay Area is expensive," or "New York is expensive," or these big cities, and it is true. However, there are so many opportunities, and so from my point of view, it levels out, right? You go and you. I believe that in our genes, in our trajectory, we're hard workers, and that's what it takes to do really well in these fast-moving large cities, and finding a way to navigate. You'll do well.
Right, to stand out. That discipline the grit that's already built in. You can't really. You kind of have to be molded with that grit.
It's hard to teach.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so those who have it tend to rise to the top.
Yeah, I think you can teach grit through life experiences, through your family's trajectory, or like the values that you may have spoken or written at home. But I don't think a school necessarily teaches grit. Like there's books that are solid, but you just have to do it.
Right.
Yeah, you just have to do grit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I like that. So yeah, I always thought, man, the Bay Area would be a good place to go work, and then everybody would say, no, Silicon Hills is where it's going to pop out. The semiconductor industry, and
Is that in Austin?
In Austin.
Okay.
That's what they were calling.
Interesting.
Right, Silicon Hills, and I ended up working for Applied Materials, and then.
Yes, good company.
When we bought our house, I was like, okay, the house has to be in an Austin zip code, an Austin address, because Google Fiber is coming, and I want that that gigabit speed.
That's right.
So, almost 10 years of having that house, we moved back, had a baby, and we back into our old neighborhood. We got gigabit speed right here in the Quintana neighborhood.
Wow.
Before we got gigabit speed, goes whatever in Austin. The irony, right?
The irony.
And you're just like, are you sure you want to spend $150 on gigabit speed?
Is it because they were testing it out? I wonder why they were.
I think they were
Is it easier to.
On the south side. I think the infrastructure, that's a 10-year project that was rolling out. And they were starting with the south side of Austin, I think.
I see.
And by the time, I lived on Palmer. So by the time one of the last streets before you leave Austin, by the time it got to us, I was already gone. Mm-hmm. But the irony, just to think, and you're just like, why are you spending $150 on internet? I was like, it's just something I got to do.
Yeah.
It's just something I got to do. Come on, Home's got it. I was like, all right, we support the movement, and now I got gigabit speed everywhere. We don't probably need all of it. Well, here we do, I think.
Yeah.
So
that's amazing. I have very spotty internet at home, actually.
Do you?
Yeah, it is. But they're doing some work, and I think it's going to change my life.
maybe I can reach out for a sponsorship and be like, hey, we'll promote your internet speed over here.
I think that you should.
So after you were up there for about 10 years, is that where you met your husband?
We met prior to that slightly. We met at a gala for MBAs and Latino MBAs in particular, and we started being friends. He was then in the Bay Area, and so when I moved up, it was a natural, hey, let's meet up, and we were doing long distance for a little bit as well, and ultimately, yeah, it took off, and we got married. It felt pretty quickly, and it's been a little over 10 years.
How did he ask you?
Oh, he should be here for that.
Oh,
he's very thoughtful, as I mentioned. He wanted it to be in San Antonio. He asked me here. We were living out in San Francisco, and he rented one of those carriages that is downtown with the horse. Mm-hmm. But prior to that, he took me to Marriage Island. Have you heard of Marriage Island? It's off of the Riverwalk. It's very popular, where it's said to be that anyone who gets married on Marriage Island is married for life. And so he wanted it to be, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this right. And so he asked me to marry him on Marriage Island, right outside of the Hotel Contessa. Mm-hmm. from there, a carriage ride was waiting for us at the top, and it took us to Asenar in Southtown, and my whole family was waiting, and everyone became a part of the celebration. I had a few friends that drove down from Dallas, 3 of my best friends, and they were all there for the celebration in the moment.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What's your husband like?
He's perfect.
Get that? Yeah, look in the camera and say it.
Yeah. My husband, he's born in Los Angeles, grew up in Los Angeles, studied engineering. I share this because he's just programmed to. He's very analytical, thoughtful, and very humble as well. He was raised by a single mother, him and his brother, and they've done fantastic. He went to the University of Southern California which is one of the top engineering schools in the country. Worked in that field for a while, and has always had this bug to be an entrepreneur, and is currently, exploring that realm. Studied business as well, has his MBA from a top business school as well, and yeah, he's just very thoughtful. We're also parents, and he is such a present dad. Mm-hmm. The connection he has with my kids is something that I would have dreamed of, experiencing as a kid. He's just so involved and fun, yet disciplined. And then coming full circle, a husband. He's my best friend. He is present. We have a great connection, and I just, when you meet somebody and for me, it wasn't, rainbows and puppy dogs immediately when I met him. Like, that was not, maybe life made me a little hard in that department. And so that wasn't it for me. It wasn't love at first sight. He says it was for him. It wasn't for me. But it was through his value system and his work ethic and his love for life and living, and just the way he's so good with people, and it made his actions and the way he just talks about people when they're not in the room and interacts with people. It's very stable and attractive, and that's how he is. I guess I can go on and on, but yeah, I'll stop there. That's how my husband
that's awesome. Is. Yeah, I've met him at the wedding or the quince.
Yes.
But I haven't had a real opportunity to sit down and chat with him.
We'll definitely do that soon.
As an engineer to engineer.
That's right. Yeah. He's a mechanical. Are you a mechanical engineer?
Electrical and computer. CE.
Okay. CE. Yeah, he's mechanical.
ECE.
He worked at Boeing, so similar experiences as you.
In Portland or?
In Los Angeles.
LA. Okay.
Yeah.
Seattle. Oh, that's awesome. What brought y'all back?
It was the universe bringing us back. It was pre-COVID, slightly pre-COVID. We were looking to spend my maternity leave here. He was doing something entrepreneurial, so he had flexibility. I had that good Silicon Valley benefits where I had 4 months off.
Nice.
Yes, it's, being an HR professional, it's so needed. Like, you need to treat your people well, and they're sticky, and yes, I don't even need to explain it. 4 months should be the minimum.
Right.
Look at other countries. But yeah, so we were here looking to spend my maternity leave for a few months. And while we were here, the pandemic happened. And so our work became remote. The ability to work remote was never even on the cards. And so it allowed us flexibility to stay. My mother was very helpful in helping me learn how to be a mother and help me raise a child. I'm like, I know how to be a solid leader and career person, but mothering is innate, but it also wasn't. I felt scared. Mm-hmm. So my mom was a big reason why we extended our stay. And then next thing you know, the pandemic wouldn't go away as many of us thought. And so we bought a house, and we're like, well, this will be a good investment. And fast forward, we're still in that house and we like San Antonio. All the growth that we've seen has kept us here, and we're looking to see what else that means in our path. But I feel like it was a divine intervention that we're back.
No, I'm glad you're back.
Thank
we
you.
need more. We need more of the entrepreneur spirit. We need more of the talent that grew here.
Yeah.
And you mentioned you're in a leadership program as well, LSA.
Yes.
What
Being a
is
mom.
LSA?
Yeah. So let me back up, and then I want to go into this. For me, I was looking into who do I want to be now that my life is even richer with kids and mothering and being a wife, and so to me it's looking for programs in the city that I can find a way to reconnect, because I was back in San Antonio, yes, but a lot of the work I was doing was remote. And so all my work and interactions are not in San Antonio. So I was finding a way to just get connected. I came across LSA, and I was quite intrigued with the formality of the program. So the program, it's designed to bring in top leaders in every capacity, every industry. It's quite diverse. I feel like they treat it as a top business school process to curate this cohort. And their goal is it's sponsored by or supported by the Chamber of Commerce, and their goal is to help leaders in the community be their purview be widened to see where opportunity exists in the city, whether that's civic duty or business or entrepreneurial, whatever it might be. And so there's a big task we need to organize there's a lot of project group that happens, but I've been very impressed with the caliber of talent that's in the program, the friendships that you're certainly making, and the connections, and the intent is to help you see that the city needs a lot of your work, even if you're not in nonprofit or in a city leadership role. There is still a lot we can do as people, and it just takes one person to make change, and that's their whole purpose. Leadership San Antonio.
That's awesome. And this is the 50th.
This is a 50th. It's a big deal.
Y'all are a special class?
We're a special class, yes. I was very naive to what all this meant up until I've been in it, and it's been such a joy. It's just opening up even more of my visionary of what I want to do in life. Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad that they have one of South San's finest representing.
That's
us.
right.
And when I heard of Leadership LSA, I only ever heard the best things from it. It's San Antonio's premier leadership program, and there's a lot of other little ones that focus on other things. And I did a leadership program in Austin, similar, but it was
Leadership Austin?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't one of the. I think Leadership Austin is a flagship one. I think Ron Nuremberg did.
Yes.
That's the claim to fame for that one that I always heard on repeat, and then San Antonio Leadership SA just had everybody who's gone through
who's
it,
done
right?
big things,
who's done great things.
Yes. I did it, and this is divine intervention, in my opinion. I certainly have done great things that I'm proud of in my life, and at the same time, divine intervention by definition is they just lead you to your path, and for me that's what it was. And I'm just so thankful that it's turned out really, really solid and well. And I didn't overthink the process because I was naive to it, and I was just led to join. And certainly they interview you and they vet everyone out, and it was meant to be for me, for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. So when does it end, and when do you graduate? And I see you post a lot of pictures on. I try,
when I remember, I post. So the program is about a year long. It started for us. The selection process started in October, and then officially it begins in December, and then the curriculum it runs from January up until September of the year. I think they try to wrap up before the holidays since it gets busy. Yeah, so it's a full commitment, a lot of time commitment, but it's so worth it. I would recommend this to anyone over and over again. Solid program.
Did you meet any mentors or anybody there, or
through LSA? I'm in the formation of that. I'm coming across quite a bit of leaders in San Antonio. We had a session with David Robinson, who I would never,
Y'all got to meet David Robinson?
we did.
Oh
We didn't have coffee.
I've never met him. I've never met him.
He's he's very faithful and into God and the Lord, and you feel it and feel his presence.
Mm-hmm.
And in his speech as well. So that was great. I'm pretty sure I raised my hand and I said, "Hey, the last time I saw you, I was at Dwight. I was in 6th grade, and you came."
Seen him twice?
Well, at Dwight? Did he not come?
No, he didn't go to our Dwight.
Okay, so Dwight.
They were winning national championship. They won the 2003, I think, when I was at Dwight.
Okay, so I was in band, right? Like not into sports. But he was really tall and stood out.
He's still tall.
He's still tall. And so he came to Dwight, and I was just fascinated to see a leader of the community come and speak to us. Now it's interesting because as an adult, I'm like, oh, he came to us because we're in that South San, in the demographic of at risk, right? And I didn't think I was at risk, but maybe I was. I don't know. But yeah, so we got to meet David Robinson. The CEO from CPS has gone to meet with us. Ray Saldaña, do you know him?
Yeah, Ray.
He's he came to. We had a session at the TPR, the Texas Public Radio. He was a panelist. Great delivery. It was really nice, and I was so proud to see him there.
Yeah.
So yeah, a couple of people, not quite mentors, but certainly exposure, and looking forward to. At this point, I'm looking more for connection, partners, business partners, whatever it might be. Maybe less mentors. Maybe I could be a mentor, but
yeah, connections for sure.
Sure. Yeah.
I think when I think of those organizations, and this is something that I had to be taught, right? You have to be proactive and using that time while you're there to make the connections.
Yes.
And not a lot of people are taught that or know that, because I mean, you're going to go off. It's something special to be able to bring a large group of people together, especially of that caliber.
Yes.
And to not take advantage of that opportunity is a missed opportunity.
Yes.
And because when do you think the next time you'll be able to gather those many people together again? It probably never happened.
Yes.
I mean, unless it's again something shared but no, that's
yeah,
awesome.
it's I'm glad you brought that up because other people that I've seen in a very small group is Vicente Fox, who was a previous president from Mexico, came over to speak to us, and like a lot of initiatives that they're running, even though he's not in office. It's just exciting to see all the avenues that we can contribute as individuals, as leaders, and it's our duty, right, to then give back. Too much that is given, much is required.
Right.
And so this program has allowed for that awareness. And for me, San Antonio was home, but I didn't build my career here. And I'm just excited to then, now I can contribute. Now I have the tools, I have more access, and excited to be a part of the growth that has been happening and we're at the tipping point. Henry Cisneros is a big voice in LSA as well. So there's many people that are just doing the work and certainly wanting people like us to go and get it done.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I'm so jealous you got to meet David Robinson twice.
I'm sure you will.
Judith got to meet him too at UT because his son, I think, graduated a year after us.
Yes.
And Judith took a picture with him.
David Robinson Jr.?
David Robinson.
But his son, Jr.?
His son had graduated, but Judith took a picture with his dad, with David Robinson at the graduation.
Yes.
And I was so jealous.
Can I say one thing about David Robinson? In one of the talks we had, he had a perspective that resonated with me, which was he encouraged people from San Antonio to leave. Like he has his own family, and it sounds like it's been a part of their family values to encourage their kids to leave San Antonio and then come back and give. And I resonate with that because that's what I had in my mind as an 18-year-old. I didn't know when, but God, everything intervention brought me back. And I think that it's a good for kids out there that are still trying to figure out what they want to be, who do they want to be, who are they. It's not a bad thing if you could find a way to leave and grow as a person outside of your comfort zone, whether that's school or whatever that it is, and then find a way to come back, like as a way of, it's like you're gifting your talents back to the community. At least that's how I see it, and what I would want my kids to do.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're right on the dot. I remember coming back from UT, driving over the Quintana Bridge. I didn't roll my windows down the whole drive, but as soon as I got over that bridge, I'm like, let me get that Monterey Steel smell back into here, and let me take some deep breaths and just blast my music. And I'm like, oh, man, it just gives you the chills. And I'm like, God, I got to come back. I got to come back home once Judith graduates. Once Judith graduates, and come back. And but to your point in building up the skill set that's out there, that one of the biggest shocker things to me when I went to work at Applied Materials, it was such a big Fortune 500 company, 1,100 employees, and then I think 5,000 contractors or something. I mean, big facilities, like multi-campus manufacturing sites. And working there, just the diversity. And
Right.
I mean, growing up here, most are Mexican or they're half black, half Mexican, half white, half Mexican. So, I'm talking 90, close to 90 something percent.
Mine was probably 98% Latino.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we go to Austin, and I'm like, a lot of Asian, mostly white, mostly Asian, and then to the realization that, I didn't even, ashamed to say it now, but like, if you're born in India, you're Asian too. And I mean, South Asian, right? And I'm like, I didn't put that connection together. But again, bringing the different cultures together and the diversity and gives you perspective, and you can see. I remember thinking when I went to UT, I remember thinking, man, they're just smart because they got tutors and they got this and they got that.
But you're not wrong.
and I was like, I had to ask Ms. Campos and Mr. Hinojosa to tutor me after, because they didn't teach calculus 3, right? They only taught like AB calculus, so you wouldn't learn integration by parts, like the things that I needed to learn by the time I got to UT. So they would stick around, and I had to ask to get that much more.
Good for you for asking and knowing that you need to ask. I think that's the biggest thing. You need to have the right questions or the right ask. Good for you.
Knowing is huge. And I remember going there, and I remember I had a little bit of spite in me, like, they're just smart because they've already done this before, and but as I've grown older and I've looked at it from an engineer standpoint, take out emotion, take out circumstances. If I looked at their score and I looked at my score, they probably put more work in. Whether they had a tutor that was paid or not, they probably studied that longer than I did. Like, and I was like, okay.
By definition. Yes.
Right. By just straight numbers. Okay, but how did I get to study a little bit more? I had to ask and jump hoops, and 2 teachers, and then they had to do it voluntarily for free for me. And that whole thing is important. But by raw numbers, it's like they just put the time in more. And then it reminds me of Malcolm Gladwell's 5,000 hours to master something, right? To become an outlier. And that's what I'm trying to do for my kids, right? If I can be Bill Gates' dad and give him a computer in the 60s when nobody else had a computer, I can give them that technology to use as a tool, or give them an opportunity to be creative as Taylor Swift's mom and dad did, right? And protect her and goes back to the purpose of the rec, creating environments where our teams can be successful. My mission, my purpose on this earth is to create environments for my teams to be successful. And I think so much of where I have gotten to was because of how I was molded in that environment, and the speakers, these artificial stimulator motivators that come back and Ray come in and talking to me and talking to us in the class with he's at Stanford my senior year, and he's like, man, I didn't do good on my SAT score. I didn't do good on my ACT score, and I wasn't valedictorian or salutatorian. And after I heard him talk, I was like, man, I could do anything just like Ray.
Oh,
right?
I
Like,
love
so,
that.
and everybody loved him. I mean, so, like, he gave us his power, and he shared us his power, where his stature was Stanford, his stature was like very smart. And regardless of the actual numbers, because he wasn't number 1, number 2, but he was number 3. And there was a little bit of orchestrate there to make the story nice, but he still put the work in, and it was very motivating for me to believe that I'm able to. And you speaking to us even before Ray came and talked to us. I mean, those transplants that are, again, coming back home, and opening the gate, even if it's just a little bit, even if it's just kicking it open to,
I think
allow them through.
Even you having this initiative and this life purpose of the rec, you and Judy's, I think it's so important because, once you're removed from circumstances, or your life experience is different than, growing up. I'll speak for myself. You forget, right? And it's not that, anyone thinks that they're better. Like, people are busy. People are busy. No one thinks about you more than you do, right? Like, that's something I've learned.
That's another good one.
Yeah. And so the fact that you're reaching out, the fact that there's programs or life purposes like yours that exist, I think they're important, and people shouldn't stop doing it, because otherwise, when you're removed from it, you're busy, you're being, a parent, you're being a business owner, whatever it might be. You think we never think we're that special. Like, I don't think I'm very special, or the experiences I've had, like, you don't stop and give, the credit, let me pat myself in the back. Like, that's not how life works. It's up until you have these conversations, and maybe younger generations ask you for help. You're like, wow, I didn't even think people needed help anymore. Right. Because you're as a human being, your life changes, your mindset changes, your experiences change, and you just think everyone is like you. So I think that's the power of the rec, and that's the power of organizations that exist to create awareness and connection between the current upcoming generation, and those of us that are like somewhere in the middle, and those of us that are maybe even getting closer to retirement, that our stories matter, and that mentorship matters. But that conduit to exist, to connection, is so important. So thank you I'm so inspired by what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, you were a part of my inspiration. So was Ray, and all the others that came back. And the Admiral was right. You got to go out and do the good things, and come back and get that life experience.
Yeah.
I love Dave Robinson. I mean, just everything. I mean, we could talk a whole podcast about him. In the era of the Dream Team, with the attitude of Michael, I mean, him staying faithful in that, and like, it could have easily been. Yeah. He was the rock that changed San Antonio, and continues to. Through LSA, I'm just blown away at his commitment to. First off, to his family and who he is, and God is at the center of everything he does. And then second, through the investment. There's a lot of investment and development that's happening in downtown that his son, David Robinson Jr., is leading. And it's changing, where we're going. There's always opinions out there of, taxation and the cost of this and taking away from that. But if leaders and those who have made it with a lot of funds, right? In this case, David and Robinson, we're talking about, if they don't reinvest, communities can't change as quickly. And San Antonio is growing, but you look at the stats, pure numbers, engineer, we're still the access to income and the poverty level is still quite high in San Antonio. And that's only going to change with more jobs, more tourism, just more income from the outside coming in, honestly. Right. Sorry, you got me thinking about something that I got to give you a piece of paper for now. A couple of days ago, I was looking at sending out flyers for the grand opening of the rec, and I didn't realize United States Post Office has an app that it lets you click a route, and you can pick where the houses you send the mail to. And so I'm going to send a ribbon cutting thing out,
That's great.
But it was surprising to me because when I typed in the address of this building, and you look at the stats up there, it tells you all the demographics, like the average income, the age, the number of businesses, the number of residents. And that was one thing that really, I'm like, man, $32,000
is the median income.
Is the household income here.
Oh, the household income.
And so you look at that and I'm like, wow, that's
hard.
It's crazy. And then I work for a company at Port San Antonio, right? For a company that rents from Port San Antonio that does cyber, offensive and defensive cyber stuff. And, you know, the average salary of an employee who works there is $111,000. So you take that disparity and it's like, somebody's not opening gates to this community. You know what I mean? Like to allow, and the knee-jerk reaction is, well, we just don't have the skilled labor. San Antonio just doesn't have the skilled labor. They don't have the universities, and so then it's like, all right, it's a long-term game. You got to invest in education early, because if you don't have the talent pool there, what are they going to do? They're going to transplant it and they're going to bring it from other places, and those people are going to take those jobs. Well, I think us being positionally positioned here, why would people want to come and work out of the rec and be here? It's all about location. They'd be close to their customers, and I think us targeting towards the industry and the economic engine that's $20 billion economic impact, right, at the port is going to be strategic for us to give community have the community members earn the jobs that are out of reach because of opportunity. When back in the day, Kelly was around, everybody, you could throw a rock, and every one of my neighbors has a Theo who worked for Kelly, and that economic impact spilled into the neighborhoods. It's not anymore. And you know, I say it almost as if I've got survivor guilt being the only one in the neighborhood that I know, right? And it's such a complex project. It's
so
such
complex.
a large engine to tackle, and you know, we're doing as much as we can with our little means, right? With how much we can invest while still balancing and raising our family. But you're right on point when it comes to the access to being able to have those opportunities, knowing they even exist, right? To change a neighborhood, to change the city. It's little reinvestment, things like that, and it takes a little bit of moving and shaking and a little bit of uncomfortableness.
Or a lot.
Yeah, a lot, probably a lot.
A lot.
And realizing like, well, if we keep doing what we've been doing, we're gonna get what we've been getting. So you got to change it and shake it up and try to practice at the top of your ability.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's well said. I think, gosh, what you're saying is multifaceted and complex. Where through LSA, I'm learning. You know, it's interesting because we've had our own life experiences where, you know, growing up in the South Side and lower access to jobs and lower access to connections, which the city is born on, right? Like that's how it moves. It's who do you know, and that's the hard part, right? Like, but the plus side in this is what can you do as a person? I think I start with that. Is for me, when the problem is so complex to even tackle, know how to tackle, I start with what can I do for in my path, in my trajectory, and LSA is opening up the purview of, do you tackle education? Do you tackle, there's so many problems that the city works on that I had no idea, being in for-profit and the private sector, I was not aware of how complex it is to get things done. There's a lot of opinions of what San Antonio is doing well and not well. But from my perspective is, what can you do as a person instead of getting so, with access to all this information online, it's so easy to just read and scroll and get so demotivated and angry or whatever negative emotion comes in your heart by reading somebody that you'll never probably meet's perspective. And at that point, I think get involved in whatever it might be, your local neighborhood watch program or through the city. There's a lot of ways that young folks can, young and old and like myself, tenured, whatever, through the city. But I think it's just action, just showing up, school boards, like whatever it might be to add your grain of salt to the positive change. And I think that's what changes, gets things done. Something like the port that you're saying, the local median is 30, the local income household being 32,000 is sad. And the reality that I grew up with, maybe even you, and the fact that it's 2026 and that's still a number that's being reported.
Right.
It is sad. And I want to acknowledge that. And also, you got to get out of your comfort zone and go make it happen for yourself, because no one else will. And when you make it happen, then turn around and find a way to build bridges for others. I think that that's super important. Education, I still think it was a way that I was able to get educated and break into a path that I'm happy I was able to. And I think that people shouldn't stop on that. AI is so accessible now that you can do something with that. It's new for all of us. So the good thing is we're all on the same learning playing field. You just got to act. You got to do something.
Right. Yeah. I mean, 100%. Education changed our lives. I mean, without that was our tool, our leverage to say we deserve to be at the table. We're. I mean, do I remember all the math I've taken and can recall?
Probably
no,
not.
but shows that I was disciplined enough to pass through the system that they had.
Yeah.
And I think
it gives you confidence, right?
The confidence.
Once you were able to do it.
And this is here. I'm gonna puff my chest up a little bit. But anybody who graduates with a ECE degree from UT, if you do that, you can do anything. Is the mentality that was instilled in us, right? And I think that's allowed me to be so bold, because you look at me as, by trade, I'm an engineer, but all the peripherals that I've done in addition to just being an engineer, I think sometimes the peripherals they're not full time, right? I mean, I do as much as I can when the kids are asleep and work on, send out invites and open the building and revitalize it and direct, but it's stemming from what gives me the resources to do that. It came from the education that we received.
That's right.
And now that's why I'm so happy to be a part of it with Building a Purpose. I'm so happy to be a part of the committees that started the early college programs at South San. Kids can graduate with an associate's degree and graduate with their bachelor's at 20 years old. The students who are on our window wraps who graduated, they graduated at 20 years old, and they're doing amazing things. Their trajectory is so much potential, and they're the ones who are gonna continue to help break that chain, bring that 32 up to 42 next year and 52, and yeah, I think through education is certainly the way we need to at least take a bite at and start.
That's a good starting point. Yeah.
What's the best advice anybody's ever given you?
The best advice that anyone's given me, I think a lot of the advice came from my mother, and the best one was, if they can do it, why can't you? And that came, the reason was I would often criticize what I wasn't doing, like all my inabilities, and she was always a big cheerleader in my life, continues to be. I'm very blessed to have her in our life, in my kids' life as well. And si ellos pueden, ¿por qué tú no? And that would get me through really hard moments.
Well said. What is your purpose in life?
I think, I've reflected quite a bit on purpose. For me, my purpose is first being the best mom I can be for my kids. I have 2 little ones. The world that they're going to grow up in is way different than the world that we grew up in. And my purpose is to give them the best blueprint that they can to follow what's in their heart while staying true to who they are. so that they can be happy at the end of the day with the decisions that they make. That's kind of it. That's one prong. The other purpose for me is, I feel like in my soul, sharing my story is a part of giving back. Growing up from some hardships and the things that I did to overcome those is another part of it. And then lastly is my purpose is to be here on earth doing the best I can with what I was given by God. And the moment I'm not here, being happy with what I was able to do. Just being a good person.
Mm-hmm. What has your faith journey been like?
So I grew up Catholic, probably like a lot of people from Mexico. We were, we were the conquistadores from Spain came over and certainly brought over the Catholic religion, Catholicism. So I grew up Catholic. I have all of my sacraments. Through college, I often turned back to just reconnecting with God and asking for guidance as much as possible. A lot of crying, a lot of, just reflecting. I love the chapels. I love sort of this meditative place that you can just be and be still. And now it's grown to being, I believe religions, like God there is no wrong way to be connected to God. And a lot of religions teach, the specifics, the way to connect to Him. And my perspective is, if you're doing good things in life and you're connecting and staying faithful to what it is like to be a good community member, that is what my purpose of religion. I still practice Catholicism, Christianity as a whole, and that's what we're teaching our kids.
Okay. Is there a Bible verse or parable that you often reference, go back to?
The story that resonates with me is a prodigal son, where he leaves, and we all make mistakes in life, right? And life choices that you made. But his family, his father, stayed very patient, and whenever he returned, there was a huge celebration, and no removing the shame, the guilt, I knew you'd be back. And that stands out to me because that was my experience with my family, with my my mother, my siblings. I've always been the one pioneering, like trailblazing a different path, being on my own and figuring things out. I lived in several cities, Washington, D.C., Virginia, Boston, a lot of the East Coast, a lot of the West Coast. And coming back home felt a little scary, but also so heartwarming that I get to be a part of this family that shape who I am. And now I'm one of the elders, if you will, kind of giving back to the younger generation. And that story in the Bible resonates with me because I always see myself in that. I didn't do all the other sort of things that the prodigal son did, but certainly the theme is there for me.
You're coming back home.
Coming back home, like your people will always be there for you, arms wide open. You don't have to prove anything. You just have to be. And that brings a lot of warmth in my heart and stillness in my life.
Okay. Whose death greatly affected you?
For me, it hasn't happened yet. The death that will probably greatly affect me has not happened yet. And I'm so blessed. I can't even believe I am sharing that, right? I have, I've been so blessed to be a daughter of grandparents that lived very long in their life, in their 80s, 90s, some strong individuals, strong personalities. And although I mourn them and miss them, my grandmother on my father's side met my son, and I have photos of her with him. And I mourn them, but they haven't affected me to the point that it's brought me to complete halt in my life. And I feel so blessed to even share that out loud. I've been so blessed to have, key people in my life that have lived long, long lives. At this point in my life, I think, it's like your immediate circle. My mother and father are both alive and doing well.
What a blessing. Yeah.
But my mother she's always been a key figure in my life, and I want her to be around for a long, long time.
Yeah.
But at some point, life happens, and I just try to think about the good that they bring in your life, like the lessons you learn together, and find a way to just celebrate their life as much as possible. My husband's so special to me as well that, I'm just enjoying every day with them.
That's beautiful. If you were to die today, and you only had one phone call, who's the one person you'd call?
My husband, for sure.
What would you say?
I think about this because I've always been very independent, and he's so supportive in all my wild ideas, desires, what's in my heart. And when I fly alone, I've left my kids with my mom, my husband, and this thought crosses my mind, right? Especially with all the weird events that continue to happen in the flight industry of near misses or actual events, right, that take people's lives. If I had that phone call, I would just say thank you for building a beautiful life with me. He's been everything that I ever wished for in a partner. And I would say take care of my kids and live the best life you can. You clearly hit a very soft spot, but when you come across somebody that's so meaningful in your life, I think the best thing you can do is be grateful for them. And I couldn't have asked for any better blessing than the Lord has given me by being able to build a life together. And I would just say thank you. I'd want him to live. He knows. I mean, we talk about this as parents. You have to, right? There's a lot of conversations when you have kids. I'd want him to be happy.
Yeah.
Jesus. Okay.
If you could call your kids.
They keep going.
What would you tell them?
Oh, my kids. I have this dream, this goal of memorializing all these tidbits in a video, right? That they could always reference in the event that one day you can't be with them. But first I'd say watch that. But I would tell them, one, I'm so proud. Being their mother was the best life gift I have ever received. I wasn't sure I wanted to be a mother. I was career focused through and through, but I would tell them that's my number one joy and gift in life. They are perfect just the way they are. And I would encourage them to live their life to the best of their ability, where they can just be proud of what they've built and be at peace with who they are. They have nothing to prove except to themselves and to God. And I would just have them focus on that. I'd want them to stay focused on what brings their body and their minds and their souls wealth and health. Stray away from distractions. If your gut is telling you something is wrong, it probably is. Listen to that. Mom and dad love you. We couldn't be prouder of you. And I'm just so excited to see what they do, who they become. And for me, it's just a blessing to be trusted to be their mom. Yeah, I'm the adult now. How did that happen? It's been a joy.
That's awesome. That's a beautiful message for your kids. What's something now that you're an adult that you didn't maybe necessarily think when you were younger to be true, and now you're like, oh wow, it was different than what I thought it was?
I always thought people were smarter than me. I don't know where that comes from, because my grades always reflected that I was smart, that I cared, and that I would do the work. But for some reason, I never felt like the smarter one in the room. And now I realize that you just have to use your voice. Just because you can be smart in your mind, but if you're not communicating that, you're holding back yourself, you're holding back your gifts, and you're holding back the ability to change or impact somebody else's life. And as uncomfortable as it is to be invited on a podcast and show up and be yourself and not know how the message is received, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's also okay, because at the end of the day, we're all humans living a human experience. And your life experience is what you put out is what you get in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, no one is smarter than you. I mean, I was in the rooms with board members from top private equity firms, with my bosses who were smart Ivy Leaguers, just access, right? The thing that we didn't have, which
Mm-hmm.
access to networks, capital, education, top education programs. And at the end of the day, I realized sometimes some of them were not nice. They were selfish. And at the end of the day, maybe not that smart. But because of just knowing how to navigate the system, or given access too much earlier than I did,
Mm-hmm.
they were there because of that. And that gave me, being in those rooms allowed me to see that I am smart. That, man, no one can outwork me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about trusting yourself and having the courage to show up. And when you do that, opportunities open up. As uncomfortable as it is, I would do it all over again. All over. Because I am smart. And so are you.
Dang, that was good.
And so is everyone else listening to this.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I know we talked about this before we went on, but from an identity standpoint, right? Like, what story comes to mind for me? I was a poor reader, and I did a speech, and I went and talked back at South Sands commencement speech the day before Judith and I got married, and I went through that speech like Speedy Gonzalez. And partially because there's like 10,000 people who want you to get down and like, let's get my kid across that stage. But I then looked at other speeches I've done, and man, I speak so fast. And I'm like, why am I talking so fast? And I remember I got this anxiety because we were in a conference and we're like, all right, everybody go around the table. We're going to read this line. And I remember thinking back to first grade that I wasn't smarter than everybody. I didn't get good grades. My reading skills weren't strong. And spelling bee came around. Oh boy, was I scared. And I only spoke English. So you guys, you and Judith, I swear, learning English, beating everybody in the language department, y'all definitely were smarter than me. But I remember getting to that line. I remember counting the kids, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I'm gonna get to 5, and I'm like, I start practicing every single word. I'm like looking at it, like, and when I would read it, and they got to me, I would read it so fast because I wanted them to think I was smart, and I could read fast. Because in reality, I was like, oh my God, I gotta believe, right? And I had to do that like 10 times. And that story really encaptivates my whole style, because I have to do things beforehand, and I have to practice, and I have to be better, and to show up just where everybody else is at.
Yeah.
And that was the case for me reading, and that's been the case for me most of my whole adult life. Now, when you build repetition into things, I show up and for authenticity's sake and being genuine, I don't practice because I want them to know it's coming from the heart. And like, I don't write a speech ready, because I don't want them to think I'm scripted.
Rehearsed, yeah.
And so now I'm like coming in this whole circle of like understanding why I did that. Now I'm opposite, and then I'll probably end up going back the other way just so I don't forget, and I make sure. And I have this grand opening coming up, and I'm like, this might be the best opportunity for me to write a speech, read it, and because what I said at the commencement center was from the heart. I had something written out because I had to turn something in, but I went from the heart on it. And now I'm at a point where I'm like, I don't want to forget anybody. Right. And so because I don't want to forget anybody, write it down and just say what's on there. But what a great example of something that you realize not to be true, because I've also, you saying it helped me think all these different loops that have gotten me to where I'm at, but all starting from me thinking I'm not smart. That's why I read slow. That's why I started to read fast. Now I'm going to read slow again, because reading fast doesn't necessarily make it more energy or you want them to understand. You want them to connect. So
yeah, and I
really resonated with me what you said.
Yeah, and I think as you get wiser, I would call, in life happens, and you start just reflecting. I think the power in reflection is so important, because often we're moving to the next thing. And I was a big victim of this in my own way, where I would have a success, and I was already thinking three successes down the line, the next goal and the next one, and that is motivating. But as a human being living a human experience, stopping, pausing, reflecting, understanding what happened it's such a power move. And so what you're doing now, as in reflection mode, I realize everything is a formula. Good speakers, first off, speaking in public is the number one fear next to death. That is a proven psychology result of what people, the two things that keep them up at night and give them a lot of anxiety is public speaking and death. And so that's probably why you felt anxiety. There's a lot of eyes on you and your own mind. You start thinking, what are they thinking? I need to move quick because I need to get out of here. But some of them probably wanted you to just breathe and walk them through this speech and story. And I realize as this like wise person now is everything is a formula. And so if you want to be a great speaker, all we have to learn is to be authentic and connect and all the things is what formula am I following so that you don't sound rehearsed and you are taking a breath and you are connecting with your audience. And if you practice that formula, you will become a really good speaker if that's what you choose to be. That's one of my sort of life goals is just being really comfortable and being able to show up and not rehearse or prepare. But you still need some preparation. Maybe your top 3 points that you want to deliver, that's still some preparation. But what I've learned is because if somebody else is really good at it, don't measure yourself against them. They had a different starting point. They had likely different access, different ways of bridging the gap to that goal and being a good public speaker. So instead, know where where are you starting now and build off of that. We're all running our own race. Let's stop comparing ourselves and be okay with not feeling and shed the whole, I don't feel smart enough. I am smart. Own it. And now figure out what you want to work on.
Right. Yeah, well said. We're all on our own timeline.
That's right.
What's next for you? What is the next 5 years? What are things worth sharing?
If you would have asked me this 8 years ago, I would have had a very direct rubric of where I was going, and it would have included a lot of titles. Promotions at work give a lot of validation, and it's for good reason, because companies want to, help you feel recognized so that you keep, staying engaged and retained. So old Marlene would have been for sure wanting to be in, some Fortune 500 company, being an executive. That was what was on my agenda. Now, what's next? Right now, I'm in the season of reflecting to find my life purpose. I'm currently reading this book that it's named "The Life You Were Born to Live." I just bought it, and it's for me, it's unfolding. Where do I want to go? Where do I want to go in life that meets all the criteria of who I am now, as a mother, as a wife, as a person, a San Antonian, and for me, it's about fulfilling my life's mission to feel like I've accomplished. Luckily, Jesus, for me, I have met a lot of the goals that I've had for myself. Mm-hmm. And in a way, I feel like I've already done what I said I would do. Now it's pausing, reflecting, and that might be another leadership position as a corporate employee. I'm currently building a fractional business where it's named Peoplecraft Advisory, where I help high growth companies establish their HR department. Human resources is one of my facets, my fortitude, where I've grown my career. So it might be in that, or starting a company. So I'm figuring out what that might be. Long-winded way of saying, I don't know specifically, and that's the exciting part, because I am on this path to continue building my fractional business and or a business adjacent to that. We'll see.
Well, I think you've got
You'll need to have me back.
Yeah, for sure. I think when you're ready to launch, it's got to be exclusive to the Jesus Rendon podcast first. Then you can send it to KSAT, World News, and Times Magazine and all that stuff.
Yes.
What did we miss?
I think being back in San Antonio is such a blessing, and it's also opening my eyes to sort of where I came from, and I've had the luxury of reconnecting with some of my high school friends that I'd lost touch with. We have a book club, and I'm meeting them where they're at now. And I think what I wanted to add is reconnecting with the child you is so important. I'm currently living that myself, and coming from a place of genuinely, people are interested to know what you're doing, and you're interested to know what they're doing. I'm just excited to be a part of the community again and find a way to uplift those around me that I've known and or I don't yet know, to be a part of the change. San Antonio is growing so quickly, and in the next few years it's going to look different, and I want to be a part of that change. And I'm just so blessed to reconnect with people that I know in my network, and find ways to do things together. Like, we still don't know what we'll launch adjacent and or together, and I'm excited to see what that might be.
Favorite song of all time?
Simply the Best by Tina Turner.
Simply the best. Song that always makes you cry?
Any Vicente Fernandez song. It's a broad response and it's rapid fire, but Vicente Fernandez or Tigres del Norte, it reminds me of my parents. Mm-hmm. I love them.
Okay. Favorite movie of all time?
So I have two. Can I say two?
Yeah, but whichever one you say first is going to be the favorite.
Okay. The Pursuit of Happiness is my favorite. My second go-to is Father of the Bride.
Father of the Bride. Okay. Favorite podcast?
The Jesus Rendon Show.
That's what I'm talking about. She wasn't paid to say that,
I
by the
wasn't.
way. Wasn't paid.
Also, How I Built This by Guy Raz.
How I Built This. Did I tell you about the Malcolm Gladwell podcast?
No.
There, I'll send you a link. There's this recent one that came out that made me. He does a podcast of things that are often overlooked, and yeah, that's a good one. Favorite actor?
George Clooney.
George Clooney. He's a classic. Favorite book?
How Will You Measure Your Life by Clay Christensen.
What's that book about?
How will you measure your life? It's about having your why in front of you and remove these external validating factors. Knowing what gets you up in the morning so you can do it really well and do it the best. So it's really grounding. It's been my favorite book even before kids. I'm very spiritual, and I believe your thoughts become your actions, and that book is there's a guide that you can follow, and it's a beautiful book.
Okay. Any books on the horizon or a short reading list that you'd recommend?
On the horizon, I'm reading a book named The Life You Were Born to Live. Again, I guess this is all part of the same theme for me. I just picked it up, and it gives you a true north to see what are the attributes of when you're reshaping yourself. Who do you want to be, and where are you going? They're very similar. So that's one of them. I like Emily Griffin as aside from the pool, reading a book, novels, and so that's kind of my mindless reading. But for the most part, I really enjoy books that give you kind of the secrets to the life you want to build and secrets to success. Tony Robbins is another really good writer that I enjoy. That he teaches about finance and using finance as a tool
to build wealth. Okay. Are you promoting anything?
I'm promoting my business, People Craft Advisory. Check us out online. If you have HR needs that I help small businesses and or high growth businesses just get things done so you don't have to worry about the people issues that come through and or setting up your infrastructure. So I'm promoting that, as well as communities to get involved in San Antonio. I'm having a great time through Leadership San Antonio. The Chamber of Commerce is doing a lot of wonderful things that I'm excited to be a part of, and hopefully others can join me as well by simply checking out their website and seeing what community engagement you can be a part of. Let's do it together and reach out and connect on LinkedIn with me.
Okay. Well, Marlene, I am so honored to have known you since I was very young, and you were younger.
I was younger.
You were young too.
I was.
And
I still am.
You still are. And I'm just blown away, and with that group of Jalpense girls who are so successful, my wife included, your cousin. Yeah. Man, y'all have accomplished so much with so little, and the humble beginnings from where y'all started, and the challenges y'all have had to come through as women climbing the ladder to executive positions, and circling back with growing the family and the pressures and the titles and the emotions, and I mean, growing the family, preserving the legacy, and creating something that you did not start off with for your kids. I'm glad we're able to do that alongside each other, and we have a relationship kindled again that we can bounce ideas off of, and I'm excited for our little kids and your little kids to be primos and get to hang out with each other again.
It's funny you say that. The other night, my husband and I I'm pretty sure it was during the Spurs, and they are in the playoffs right now, and it was a game, and I said, my kids are sitting there just so relaxed watching the game with us, past their bedtime, and I looked at him and I said, gosh, I really wish I could come back and live my life as them because they're just, the life that they're living, their circumstances are so abundant and different. And that's okay. I think that some hardships in life are meant to be lived in order to create more abundance for those behind you. And for us, for me, maybe for you guys as well, it's about our kids. Everything is about your kids when you become a parent. And I'm just excited to see what life they'll live along with your kids and continue to build that relationship. And hopefully I think they'll give back to San Antonio and even more. I mean, my kid is talking about going to Mars, and he's in kinder.
Yeah.
But he loves this notion of robots and they will go to Mars one day. And how cool is that? That our struggles and our life experiences completely open the door and pave the way for the next generation to live such a meaningful life and new experiences that maybe the history books will be written about them.
Absolutely. With parents like y'all, no doubt.
I hope so.
Until next time, Marlene, thank you so much.
Thank you.